Hello and welcome to the 80th episode of Rambling Weekly. Going to talk about diminishing returns. And, sorry for being late and disappearing for a couple weeks. It's been kind of busy. So, I'm going to take a break and we'll get into it. Stick around. Welcome back. That tune is, yeah, Vocaloid throwing a curveball. But I guess if there's a way for me to listen to Vocaloid by having it be attached to, more Celtic and Irish-ish sort of tunes, that would be the way to do it. So that is tune. There is Aliento, I think, which is Spanish for breath or wind. I don't know what else it could possibly be. That's what I know it for. And that is from the Folklore album, which has Phoenix Project, Aether, Edu, and Noah. I think Noah. Oh, there's only one by that Noah, but it's a good tune, and it's yeah, I like the. It's one of those weird ones that I'm like, I'm kind of in a mood, very specific mood, but I'm in a mood, and I like listening to it. So, yeah. So the songs for this episode are going to be all from that. So enjoy or don't. Skip them if you're just gonna be mean about it, but whatever. How's it going? Hope everybody's doing well. Like I said, been kind of busy. I tried to record one last week, and I did not like it. I got done with it, and I was like, this is poopy. I do not agree with this at all. Just there seemed to be a lot more hemming and hawing, a lot more. Just I don't know what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know what I'm saying anyways, but when it gets to the point where I'm like, I don't know about this one, it's kind of a pump the brakes and then get rid of it. And then this week it's delayed because hopefully next week, guest I'm going to have on should be able to record. Something came up, wasn't able to, so, which is alright. I had to cancel on him once before, so it's only fair that he gets to cancel on me once. So, happens again, though. There will be issues. But, yeah. So, like I said, hope everybody's doing well. I've been busy. I'm actually starting to notice I'm developing the neurotic. Oh, I need to be editing. Oh, I've got to edit all this. And it's slowly starting to tighten the screws on me to where I'm like, yes, which is kind of a nice place to be. I know that sounds weird to be like, yes, I'm neurotic, but I don't know. It's taken a while to get to the point where the pot is finally simmering and bubbling, so I can throw in the pasta and make my pasta. I'm hungry. I want some pasta. That's what that analogy is for. But yeah, I am. Where is that? It's over here. I am 66. That doesn't sound. Yeah, no. I'm about like 60 pages away or so. Mind you, there's a lot of editing and hashing out that I need to do on certain things. But I think I've got it pinned exactly how I want to for the rest of it. I just need to get through the rest of it. So that October finish is probably not going to happen, regrettably. So I guess sometime by the end of the year, begrudgingly saying that. So yes, that's coming along. I yeah, that I've been really buried into that. I haven't really played much of anything. I dabbled a minute bit into Caves of Cud, like I normally do. There's a new arc. I think it's the penultimate one or something that's supposed to be coming out. Hopefully it'll. I think they're supposed to be by the next year finishing up the story stuff and getting it out of beta. Um, I guess one thing I have been playing a little bit of, maybe just to kind of calm myself down, which I don't understand why I would do this because I'm awful at it. But City Skylines, it's a comfy game. I like to play the comfy game sometimes. So a little bit of that. Slade and B. Clark. I don't know why I'm gesturing like that, but that's just how I am. Slade and B. Clark and I have been playing a fantastic early release game called the Greatest Penguin Heist of All Time. It is a buggy mess, but it is ridiculous and enjoyable. Anything else? The only other game thing has been playing. I've been continuing playing a tabletop thing with a few friends, and that's really about it. Played the original Castlevania, just to kind of had like 40 minutes. I was like, I'll just play through the original Castlevania, and then I flubbed right before that stupid corridor before death, and I was like, okay, I have no more time for this. I am done. So yeah, it's just kind of, it is what it is. I mean, I don't think it'd been forever since I had played it beforehand, so yeah, that's what I get for being rusty. That played a little bit of a game for review with Mr. Sushi Lee, and that's really about it. I don't really, trying to think if there's anything I've been watching, or still haven't finished Castlevania. Still haven't passed episode 5 of season 2. So that's just kind of how that goes. But that I don't know if there's really been much else. I will say this: if anybody's a Star Trek fan, there are a string, and it's not strictly Star Trek, but other sci-fi stuff as well. There are a string of like retrospectives and stuff done by a Rowan J. Coleman. I know I'm a tiny channel, suggesting a bigger channel and whatnot, a way bigger channel. But if you like retrospectives and diving into TV shows like Star Trek or Babylon 5, as well as the movies for Star Trek and stuff, I highly suggest it. Really enjoy his stuff, and yeah, it's watching the Battlestar Galactica retrospective for the early aughts version, and I outside the name, I'm not familiar with it whatsoever. So it's like, oh, okay, that's pretty neat. I didn't realize it was so different. It's probably something after, I didn't watch the whole thing because I was like, oh, I may want to watch this because I'm kind of interested in this. I don't know about the old 70s one so much, but yeah, but so that what else has been going on? Anything else? Probably not. I mean, I say I'm busy, and the big thing is that the book stuff. Big Clark, if he comments on it, he can vouch for it. It's a very time absorbing process. I mean, yeah, part of that's on me, but also just yeah, it's slowly turning more into a laser focus, which I'm like, yes, channel this power, yes, just like that. So, but that's it for the updates on things. So we're going to take a break and then get into the topics. Just stick around. Welcome back. That tune there is After the Scar, and I should mention, I've made notes of this, but that first tune, there are a whole bunch of different Vocaloid programs, voices, and the first one was with Hatsune Miku, and this one is with Megupoid, and this one might be my favorite song. And there's 9 songs on the whole album. This one might be my favorite. I just like how it starts and stuff. I don't know. There's just something really nice about it. And yeah, it's really good. It's really enjoyable. And I try to, I don't know. There's whatever. I like it. The end. It's one of the few Vocaloid things that I enjoy there, so gotta have those every now and again. There's another album that's just 3. It's technically just 3 songs, but there's 3 without the Vocaloids and then 3 with of a different one that Phoenix Project did that I'm kind of like, but I went with this one because there's a little bit more to pick and choose from here. So yeah, and that's about it of my Vocaloid CD having ways. I mean, unless it's like secretly hidden somewhere or something. That's all I got. Anyways, the topic. Diminishing returns. Diminishing something as the light fades. So, I think I might have mentioned. I've had to have mentioned. I know I've mentioned it in person or in conversation with people. That previous guest a while back, Todd. He is housemate, and there's a bit of an age gap, right? And I there were times we were having conversations on things, and the dust starts to just like cake on. I'm like, I'm feeling ancient. But more importantly, there are times where we have conversations on things, and it's like, how do I know times are bad? Is when I hear things like, for example, Golden Corral being mentioned as a place to go eat. Now, when I was younger, and that's not to take away from an all-you-can-eat buffet place, but never really heard Golden Corral being the place to eat. I mean, I don't mind it, but not something in conversation that I hear people going, yeah. Or the one that always sticks in my head, partially because I see how ludicrously expensive it all is, are Krispy Kreme donuts. Krispy Kreme donuts. Now, when I was younger, Krispy Kreme was garbage. It was crap. It wasn't worth anything. It was a bunch of nonsense. It was frozen donuts. Nobody put. I mean, didn't help that Tim Hortons went from freshly baked stuff to, and they probably still do it up in Canada land, but at least in the States it's all frozen as well. So there's not really much of a difference in them. But yeah, Krispy Kreme is now seen as a upper tier, high shelf donut for some people. Did I miss the memo on that? Because to me it seems like it's sort of just we have slowly skidded and slid and all sorts of other words into a very bad dark timeline. The other one that came up was, I think, Denny's. I don't know why I'm like making it like, oh my god, it's something. But it's like Denny's, where it's like, yeah, it's a place to go. No, no, it's not. I to be fair, maybe these things have gotten better, but when I was younger, they're not so highly thought of. And Denny's, the only thing nice about it was that it was open like 24/7, or at least close to it, because I always remember my mom, as wee little lad, would drag me and my brother, even more wee lad, to these Denny's things after her AA meetings. So Which, yeah, sure, pancakes at like 10 o'clock at night. Bring it on. Bring on the slam and breakfast. But when he's telling me these things of how they seem like really nice or that they were really good, I just kind of wonder, like, how, like, is this the slow descent? Is this the degradation that because there's enough of a gap that you really don't notice it? So much time has gone on that the one thing that was really nice, kind of like the little Debbie snacks, they went from like this big, or at least what you think is this big, now they're like this big kind of thing, like Big Macs and all that sort of stuff. It's like they've gotten smaller and smaller. Chips, they've increased, they've decreased the size of them, and they've put in more air and stuff, and so there's just this slowly, more and more and more of just the air being let out of the balloon, or the helium being let out of the balloon. So it's just that kind of thing. And you see this with other things as well. Like I'm very much of the mindset that like having excessive choices on things is not nearly as good as what we make it out to be. Partially because I think it ends up overworking the brain to where it's like, I've got to make a decision, gotta make a choice. I mean, there's that like really famous example of Steve Jobs always wearing the same thing, so it's like I don't have to think about that. My brain doesn't have to compute what little hurts are left in the old think box that aren't spent going, oh boy, should I really match these jeans with these, or should I wear these dress pants with this? No, not even thinking about it. Just give me this. I think it might be something similar to that with like you have all of these serials, all of this entertainment, all of these TV shows, YouTube channels, music. There's just a point of which it's just the noise is so cacophonous that you have to be able to find a way to cut through the noise. And that isn't to say that all the noise is bad. And unfortunately, I think this is what happens when some people talk with me, is that I can be like, yeah, I don't have an interest in that. Say TV. I haven't really watched TV outside of, like, Deadwood. I have Deadwood. I've got the World War II in color series of, we get like odds and ends that I've bought and stuff. Still working through Castlevania, but I don't really watch TV. Not really my thing. I don't really, obviously I have a very odd taste in music. Not everybody would say it's odd, but a lot of game stuff, a lot of this, and just kind of pick and choose and stuff. But the thing is, it's more of just like, I'm not like hyper seeking it out. I'm not like, oh yes, this, but it's because I'm trying to like cut through the noise, because there's just simply too much of it. And not in the sense of it being a bad thing, but it's like it is impossible to enjoy all of it. It is impossible to experience all of it. And at some point, you gotta like experience your own things, right? You gotta live your own life and that sort of thing. And I think at least for myself, that's kind of my thing. It's like I pick and choose these things. I enjoy these things, but that's not to say that the other things I didn't end up picking were any less. And I know what ends up happening a lot of times with people is like, it's like, oh, Sea of Stars came out. I've still not purchased the game. I want to play it, but I haven't, because I just I don't have enough time I don't have enough time that I want to allocate to it, to borrow a phrase from Matt that I really like. I don't have enough time that I want to allocate to play the game, because I want to allocate it to finishing up the book and doing other things. And that's really what it boils down to. It's not this is beneath me, I don't care. I may not care, but it's partially because that's my way of kind of creating a schism to where I'm not like, oh yes, this, oh yes, this. So many fingers to plug up the dam, and kind of need them for editing anyway. So, but I think that's the a problem we end up a lot of times kind of falling into is there's so much of this, so much of this, so much of this, so much of this, and some people, if that's what they want to allocate it to, that's what they're going to allocate it to it. And not to say that it's wrong or right. I mean, that's their life kind of thing. Unless you're going to try to be psycho tyrannical. No, don't do this. There's really no point in kind of feeling like, oh, why do you do those things? As I hold up my nose, I look down my nose at you. Oh. Probably look terrifying in the video. But, where was I going with that? I guess it's the allocation thing, right? It's like, how are you allocating this? And if you are spending all of it in these certain things, if that's what you wish to do, okay, that's the choice you made, right? However, I get that this is going to happen because there's less of a filter. So in some ways, it's nice to not have the filter because it allows some very, very, like, things you wouldn't think reflecting in ways you're like, oh, that is peculiar. But then there's times where it's like the deluge, the flood comes in, and you're like, boy, we could have really done without a lot of that. We could have. However, because we are all just so quirky in our fun ways, we can end up really focusing in on just some weird choices on things, right? And just be like, yes, this is the cool thing. This is the good thing. This is it. And I'm like a previous episode that I mentioned about consumption, less about the old so meaning, but still tying in with it, is that you got to be careful what you consume. I think sure, there's nothing wrong with schlock. There's nothing wrong with a bit of silliness, but it in the same hand, it's got to be admit what it is. Be like, yeah, this is silly. This is stupid, but I like it, and I'm not gonna, that is what it is. I'm going to defend it. I'm going to be super serious in every little thing. I'm still very much of the mindset that one of the most ruinous things that has come about in the last 10, 15 years is the just absolute depth, or the mining that goes on for lore things. It's one thing to have a behind the scenes or a look back kind of thing, but then it's like, oh, here's, I've railed on it before, here's an 8-hour thing about the Mega Man lore, or you could say the same thing. Here's a 12-hour dissertation on the history of Star Trek leading up to the present and stuff. At some point, I really think that is expending energy in a way that's not healthy for us, and I could be wrong. Perhaps there's something nice about that, but I feel like I'm very much of the mindset that attention, like there's only so much energy you can expend, attention, the brain cells to retain information. Certainly there are methods to try to strengthen that, to expand that. Whether or not we do that, that is that's that's up to the individual. But I think what ends up happening is there's just so much to there's just so much that it's too much. It's too serious over something that's not very serious, and so we end up expending that energy when we could be using it for something a little bit more serious, whatever that may be. Yeah. And maybe that's me being a nagging Nancy, nagging Nate. I don't know. A nagging nincompoop. But it's something that I wish we could have avoided. And there's really no good way to avoid it. We just having the ability to document all this stuff kind of scratches a certain itch. To be able to understand all this sort of stuff kind of scratches a certain itch. But I don't know. I'm not saying it's necessarily the worst way to go about it, but like I feel like at some point there isn't anything different to it compared to like somebody who's like super absorbed into sports, you know. And we used to lambast those people to say that they were just so absorbed into that sort of thing, and now we've really shied away from doing that to where it's like, it's okay if somebody's like hyper, like this is their thing kind of thing. Just let them be, leave them alone. Well, as long as they're not hurting anybody, you know, that sort of attitude. Which, yeah, I get, you know, you don't want to be that nagging nincompoop to be like, hey, in the same hand though, there's, I get, with a conversation I was having yesterday with Todd, we, he made this mention of, like, isn't it weird that, we don't name ourselves? And I don't think so. I don't think that is weird. I think that is a sign of the chain, or the link in the chain that kind of connects us all. And I think when everybody becomes so focused on very specific things, we end up making it much more difficult to chain ourselves together. And I think that that's doing a disservice, maybe not to ourselves in the moment, or even ourselves in the future, but perhaps a disservice to those around us in the present, or those around us in the future. I don't know how I got here, or how this even. I don't know. This is how my brain works. Welcome. It's only taken 80 episodes, but how are you doing? Hi, my name is Taylor. But but yeah, I think that's an important aspect we've really shied away from, is we very egocentric, thinking of the self and appeasing ourself, pleasing ourself, and making things comfortable. But then, you know, what's that quote? No man is an island unto himself. And I think we've tried more and more, begrudgingly so, to be like, no, it can be done. As I continue to dig a, a moat for myself and turn it into an island. Um, I think in trying to do so, we like progressively make things worse and worse and worse. Um, in a just social way, societal way, and a cultural way as well, right? Because if you're not able to kind of if you're not able to draw lines to how you connect with one another, or if there's not a lot of I guess the best way I can think of it is that even if you don't have an interest in something, and you are friends with somebody and they have an interest in, like, I don't know, pogs. they really like those pogs. Pog champ slam. I'm gonna win it all. As a friend, you even if you don't care for it, you may ask, how's that going? What's the deal with it and whatnot? But that's as a friend. Do people do that with, like, strangers? Yeah. Or just acquaintances, coworkers, neighbors? That's where I think it's kind of similarly with, like, work, right? Where people will purposely do the minimum on something. And sure, like, I get it. I get it. I don't agree with it. I understand it. More importantly to me, though, is I think in doing that, you're actually making it worse for yourself because you're building a habit, right? And similarly, if you don't ask those questions to people beyond your friends or family, or neighbors, if you do not continue the habit afterwards, maybe you don't even socialize with people. You just be like, nope, I'm good, I'm done. Not even bothering with it. Or if you do socialize, but it's kind of like a small pool that you're drawing from, so you never, like, cast the net out wide past the pond. Going land fishing. But if that habit isn't built, and if other people don't do it, like, is there really a way to kind of go about it? And with the work thing, it's like you build the habit of the minimum is okay. You are telling yourself that the minimum is okay. So that sort of, there's an equal chance for that to creep into your daily life on things, whether that's your dishes, whether that's cleaning your house, whether that's other projects and goals and aspirations you have. By saying with work or just other things, you could go with the other route and be like, oh yes, stuff at home, I can do the minimum. The minimum is okay, and then that slowly kind of creeps in, and I feel like a lot of times we have this mentality of it only, like, habits only go one way. When it's like, no, it's kind of, it can go both directions, if that makes any sense. Where it's like, you're doing one thing, and you try to, like, compartmentalize it as, that's just work life, and then this is, private life. But it's like unless I don't, I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's a hard thing to just compartmentalize both and just kind of separate them, and then be like, yes, I'm just gonna be super lazy here, but I'm gonna be really, 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 like, on the ball, and just kind of bum. Just I don't see that being feasible very much. But maybe I'm wrong. Well, that's the rambling I'm doing today. Thanks for listening. Gonna take a break, get into a quote, and yeah, my brain just gonna stick around. Welcome back. That tune there is Dirt. It's the Hatsune Miku. Hatsune Miku does this one. So the first and third ones are Hatsune Miku, and then the second one, and then spoiler alert, the outro tune will feature the what's her name? Oh, the Megapoid. So yeah. If after the Scar, the one from the second break, if that one isn't my favorite, Dirt probably is. I just really like it. Anyways, this quote that I'm bringing up, I wish I could remember where I found it. It had to do with somebody who, I think it was like Lives of New York. One of the posts from that, where it's just asking people and then whatnot. And this one has to deal with a person who I don't know exactly where the village is in New York, but it's one of those areas, kind of like you just have an area where people like to perform, right? And this is the observation that he made, and I quote, "I don't enjoy observing people as much as I used to. Everyone acts like they're on stage. People used to come to the village sheepishly. Nobody was sure if they belonged. We didn't know if we were artists. These days, everyone walks around like they're contributing something. There's no angst anymore. There's too much certainty, and that's a shame. Because all the best art comes from people who feel like they don't belong. Art is a way of proving your existence. When I was a young man, a person that I respected told me that I was an artist. It was one of the worst things that could have happened to me. I stopped walking into museums or galleries with a sense of awe. I walked in feeling like an artist. My arms would be crossed. If I liked a piece, it was good. If I didn't like a piece, it was bad. I didn't feel vulnerable anymore. I lost my humility. And that's when growth stops." And yeah, that's just to me, that's such a fantastic, great observation to make, of just the I don't want to say poignancy, but I guess poignancy lost from certainty and just being like, oh, I'm so assured that this or that, blah 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 blah. Kind of in the same vein as how I may like something and I may not get to have interests in other things, but it's like I just really like I can't. If it's something you like, cool. Like I don't have the ability to juggle everything. So it's kind of like I'll take care and enjoy this stuff. You take care and enjoy that stuff, and we'll come together and kind of share our appreciation for these things. Which is a little bit different than somebody trying to do art. I guess if in the sense of writing for myself or doing little bleeps and bloops, there is always that. I think there's always that concern. Partly why I have the neuroticism is trying to make certain that I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't want to goof this up because I've already goofed up things, and I am a goof. Please. So it's kind of an effort to try to avoid that, but eventually you just have to let the thing go, right? And see what happens. That's part of the fun, part of the magic, as you will, and part of the just, I don't know, enjoyment of it. Like, as mentioned, like there's a vulnerableness to that, to be like, yeah, not necessarily a daring, like, strike at it, it's impervious, but more of like, oh, I hope you enjoy this as much as it was a pain in the tail for me to put this together. If that makes any sense. It's not that it's a pain. It's more of, I guess it is. It's a metaphorical birthing pain. A little bit different, but yeah. So it's almost like, tearing your pants. You've got like a really big tear along the crotch, and you don't notice it, and then you do notice it, and you're like, oh, I really hope people don't see that. And that's not to say go around showing people your torn crotch pants. That's not. I do not condone that. So, but yeah, that is what I've got. So, that is it. The tune is The Flowers, the Wind, and the Rain. Nice outro piece. So thanks for listening. Enjoy your day, night, weekend, weeknight, everything in between, and I'll catch you next week. So see you. Take it easy. I don't know what that is. Bye.